Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse, and it is the 1st of November already, which means, of course, all of our Halloween merchandise here at the birdhouse is now half off. So if you are local, we do still have some Halloween stuff here for everybody, and it's 50% off. So we've got that going on. And of course, also the big news is if you are local, don't miss it, don't miss out today. We have the pileated woodpecker from Wild Wings coming back today to the store in an hour from now from 11 to 12:30 she'll be here. So we're really excited about the pileated woodpecker being back, and she might bring some friends along with her as well. So come on in, check it out. If you're unable to see her today, you can always see her at Wild Wings, and we'll post photos to our social media also, so you can kind of check out the gang that comes here today. But if you want to attract woodpeckers to your backyard, you can always put out the paddle tail feeders. So we always recommend putting out a paddle tail suet feeder, especially if you want those big woodpeckers like the pileated woodpecker. That paddle tail gives the woodpecker a little place to prop their tail. You can kind of see it in the picture here that that the woodpecker has his tail propped up at the bottom of the feeder, and it just allows them to have a little bit more stability when they're feeding. Another thing you can always do is put out a seed log feeder. And these have been really popular. If you use the seed logs, you know that they don't go as fast as the loose seed does. And so those are some really popular ways to attract woodpeckers to your yard. I should also mention that we have a new bird feeder in stock, and I just got one of these and put it up yesterday, so I'm really excited about it. If you're familiar with squirrel busters, which a lot of you guys I'm sure are, they have several different types of bird feeders. They just came out with this one called the Squirrel Buster Evolution. A lot of the Squirrel Buster feeders have a cage around them that drop down when the squirrels get on them to feed. This one's a little bit different. This one's kind of like that Squirrel Buster Plus, that big feeder, but it's a little bit smaller, it's thinner, and it just has a perch on the bottom that will shut down if a squirrel gets on it. So it's kind of a streamlined version of some of the other squirrel busters. So if you're trying to put a squirrel proof feeder in kind of a small, tight spot, this feeder is really awesome. So I'm very excited to see what kind of birds I get on it. It does have that cardinal perch. I had mine full of sparrows this morning, but I'm sure the cardinals will show up shortly to check it out. But it does have that nice big perch on the bottom too. So you can get those big birds like cardinals and the small birds. Like this picture shows a little chipping sparrow and a tufted titmouse, but you won't get the squirrels. So this is a brand new feeder, and we have them in stock. So we've got these in-house for you. Another type of feeder we have too, which I love, these really bright colors. I showed off this purple one before, but we also just got a bright pink one too. So these are some tray feeders. These are some fundraisers for the American Cancer Society. So all proceeds of these will go to the American Cancer Society. This is from the Bird's Choice Company, and these are some really colorful, fun platform feeders. So if you're looking to add some color to your backyard feeding station, we have those. So those are just for a limited time only. We'll be able to get those, but those are really fun. So I thought I would share those also. But as far as the birds coming in, fall is in full swing. Definitely be on the lookout for little golden crown kinglets hopping around in your trees and shrubs. Warblers are basically gone for the season, although there might be some yellow-rumped warblers that you can come across if you look, if you're on the lookout for those, you might still be able to see those. But in general, if you see some little birds hopping around, it's probably going to be something like the golden crown kinglet or the ruby crowned kinglet. And this is a great photo of the ruby crowned kinglet because you don't always see that big ruby patch on the top of their head. Sometimes you can't really see it at all. This is a really great representation of what they look like. This is a photo sent in by Mark, and you can see that there's a little bit of a ruby patch on the top of the head, but that can sometimes be hard to see too, depending on the angle you're seeing the bird. But ruby crown kinglet and golden crown kinglet are both in the area this time of the year. Speaking of woodpeckers, another type of woodpecker to be on the lookout for is yellow-bellied sapsucker. And yellow-bellied sapsucker are a migratory woodpecker, although some of them do stay around all winter. They don't really come to bird feeders necessarily, but you might see them at your trees keep an eye out for trees that have long lines of small holes in them. If it's a little straight line of holes, of woodpecker holes, that's from the yellow-bellied sapsucker. So you can usually tell if one has been around because they make those straight lines of holes in trees. Some other birds to look out for are things like white-throated sparrow. We've been getting lots of reports of them migrating through. Sometimes they have this really bright white patch on their throat, which gives them their name, like this picture shows. Sometimes they're more drab, especially if they're in their first year. If they're still in their juvenile plumage, they won't get that full adult plumage until the spring. So they can be more just kind of overall brownish in color with a very tan colored throat. But those are around. White-crowned sparrow are around. So look underneath your feeders usually for these two migrants coming through. And red-breasted nuthatch. So people have been reporting red-breasted nuthatch. It's supposed to be a very good year for red-breasted nuthatch. And they're more common in the winter months than they are in the spring and summer. They do kind of flock around. They're considered one of these eruptive species, and people have been reporting them. Here's a picture of a red-breasted nuthatch eating the finch favorite mix. So they do like the sunflower hearts that are in that. So if you have a Niger feeder out to attract the finches, you might want to consider putting in some fine sunflower hearts in there too, because you'll get things like chickadees usually eating it, sometimes downy woodpecker, and even red-breasted nuthatch, a really adorable little bird. You might also get pine siskin coming to your Niger feeders. They look a little bit like goldfinches. You can see they've got that yellow on their wings. They're very stripy though. And look at that bill. They have a very, very sharp bill as compared to the goldfinch. That's how you can kind of tell them apart. So keep an eye out for pine siskin at your Niger feeders. Dark-eyed junco are definitely back. I've been seeing a lot of dark-eyed junco. They are one of our winter visitors that will be here all winter long. If you've got any kind of bird feeders out, you've probably seen the dark-eyed juncos. They do have a dark eye. They're gray with that white belly and a pink bill. And blackbirds are flocking through. We've been getting lots of red-winged blackbirds still at our bird feeders here at the birdhouse. But if you've got flocks of blackbirds passing through, keep an eye out for things like rusty blackbird. A lot of the times you see things like grackles and the red-winged blackbirds. But sometimes in those mixed flocks, you might come across something more rare like these rusty blackbirds. Really cool looking bird there that's on its way down south for the winter. And as we get into the cooler months, predators are going to become more common at bird feeders. It's just kind of how it is. And although these birds are around all year, they do tend to show up more in backyards as it gets cooler. Their food sources are more scarce. Some of those mammals that they've been eating are tunneling underground, or once we get snow, they're tunneling under that snow. Some of them might be in hibernation or torpor for the season. So don't be surprised if you start to see more predators like Cooper's hawks visiting your backyard, and they will go after birds at bird feeders. Cooper's hawk are known to have kind of a fierce looking eye, like a fierce gaze. They've got kind of a large head. And then there's also the sharp-shinned hawk, which has very similar coloration, but it's quite a bit smaller. So sharp-shinned hawks are only about the size of mourning dove or so. So if you see something that looks like a very, very small hawk in your backyard, it's probably a sharp-shinned hawk. If it's something a little bit larger, sometimes even as large as a red-tailed hawk, but usually a bit smaller, it's probably a Cooper's hawk. Cooper's hawks are the most common hawk coming to backyard feeders. So sometimes you do get sharp shins, but Cooper's hawks are really the most common coming to backyards. If you have an issue with sharp-shinned hawks or Cooper's hawks coming into your backyard, you can take your feeders down for a few days. Your birds will usually disperse, and the predators will usually disperse also. So it just happens every year around this time. They become more common in backyards. And then there's some other birds of prey coming back into the area. There have been some sightings of short-eared owl. Short-eared owl come here for the winter months, and they like wide open spaces, wide open grasslands where they will hunt. And so they are here during the winter time, and there's been a couple reported so far this year. So short-eared owl are making their way back. And if you go anywhere where there's some nice open water, lots of ponds, if you're over by the lake or by the bay, or if you're going out to Montezuma, there's lots of waterfowl for you to see. Things like pied-billed grebe, cute little waterfowl bird with a little line that goes through its beak. And this is one of those birds that dives under the water. So pied-billed grebe is something to be out on the lookout for. American coot. Northern shoveler, which has the males have that bright green, iridescent kind of green head, just like a mallard does, but the shoveler has a very, very wide bill. So you can look for shoveler. Things like green-winged teal. This is a small duck. Males will have that cinnamon kind of colored head with green going through their eye. Northern pintail, beautiful bird with a nice long tail. American widgeon, another waterfowl species to be on the lookout for. And even shorebirds still. Here's a picture that had been sent in last year from Mark of a lesser yellowlegs. So shorebirds are still passing through as well. So that's just a little update on some of the birds passing through the area right now. As we get into the cooler months, there will still be different birds coming into the area. So there's lots of good birding, even as it gets cooler out. So not only in your backyard, but going out, you can find lots and lots of different birds. So thank you guys for watching. If you're local, absolutely stop in to see this pileated woodpecker today. Everybody gets excited when the pileated woodpecker comes into the store. So that is from 11 to 12:30. We've got that going on. And then we've got all of our Halloween stuff on sale. So that's always fun too. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on Tuesday with another broadcast. And until then, have a wonderful day and we'll talk to you soon.